Live from the Motor City, all the way to the Volunteer State. It's time for the Reckless Speculation Podcast, where we recklessly speculate the latest news in the world of sports. From college football to NASCAR, we've got you covered. And don't forget to stick around for the world-famous Bet Your Nuts, where we will give you your best bets to make the most money. Now sit back, grab your favorite drink of choice, and join Robbie Davis, Raj Mehta, Brandon Chain, and Tom Sloan. It's showtime.
Welcome, everyone, to Reckless Speculation. It is October the 18th. We are in the first kind of quarter, if you will, of football season, maybe early first half, and a lot has gone on. And so we are going to walk you through here on college football show tonight. Before we get started, as always, please like, subscribe, follow our podcast. We have Reckless Speculation Podcast on Facebook, at Reckless Spec 1 on Twitter or X, Reckless Speculation Pod 1 on TikTok, and Reckless Speculation on YouTube. So please like, subscribe, and follow. We are brought to you by our advertisers, a law firm that's near and dear to my heart, Davis, Kessler, and Davis, that will handle any of your personal injury cases or your criminal defense. Hey, everyone can make a mistake, and you can end up arrested or having one too many drinks at the bar. Please don't drink and drive, but if you do, call us. And we are in the other atmosphere. If you have too much money and you want to spend it, C&W Construction. They handle everything from patios to outdoor areas to full builds to remodels. Anything you can dream, they can build it. And that's C&W Construction. So now that that's out of the way, let's get real and let's introduce our team. Tonight with us, we're missing one person, but that's okay. Some people can't hang after a football weekend. But with us tonight, we have Brandon Chain.
How's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going well, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. A lot
And
on
then,
the line. Excited.
Yeah, and then we have Tom Sloan, the mastermind of all these graphics.
I couldn't do it without your help, guys. I do appreciate that.
Well, thanks for being on tonight, guys. I have the honor of hosting tonight. We know, as people know, we switched around. Tonight, we're talking college football, and more specifically, as the NFL goes to London, as the NFL has more Cowboys fans in LA than they have Chargers fans. Let's talk about college football atmospheres. Get it right off the gate. Tom, you finally met, talk about meeting Raj, and then talk about the atmosphere in South Bend.
Well, yeah, so Raj and I were both in South Bend for the USC Notre Dame game. And in typical Raj fashion, it was kind of playing text tag for the first several hours of the tailgate, we'll say. He had some issues coming in from Chicago, but about a half an hour before we were getting ready to go into the stadium, him and his buddies showed up. So right there on the left, and I couldn't believe how tall he was. I was shocked. Like, God, man, you're tall. It's either you're super tall or I'm borderline dwarfism here. But so it was really cool to finally meet him, and we had a drink together and took this picture right before we went in. And but the atmosphere, all in all, this was my third time to South Bend, and the one thing I could say is that it hasn't been really a very raucous crowd in the previous two experiences I had. The fans were kind of like Michigan fans. They sit on their hands for a lot of the game, but Saturday was different. Right off the rip, those fans were ready and they were pumped and they were they were loud, and I went with my brother-in-law Bill, who's a Notre Dame grad, so he was all fired up, and so it was cool to see his excitement. But all in all, the atmosphere was great. Notre Dame fans are always pleasant to be around, so we had a good time at the tailgate. That's next level tailgate at Notre Dame. It's out of this world what they put together, but it was a good time, and I didn't expect the result. I was actually hoping for more of a competitive game, but that Notre Dame defense was just they were playing out of their mind, and just shut down Caleb Williams and single-handedly eliminated him from any talks of a Heisman. So, but those fans were loud, and I was glad to be a part of it. The weather finally held up. It's pretty chilly. It was windy and drizzle most of the day, but right before kickoff, the wind kind of died down and the rain stopped, and it made a fairly pleasant night. So, I mean, it was fun. And about the fourth quarter, I looked back, and all of Raj's buddies were like sitting literally 6 rows behind us. I didn't see Raj. I could only imagine he was already on his way back to Chicago. But
so before, and we're going to talk more about Caleb Williams later in the show, but true or false, did you tell Raj the game was on Friday to get him there on Saturday?
No, but we were, I was texting him like Thursday, Friday. I'm like, hey, what's the plan? What are we doing here? And because we were set up for a tailgate, and it had like all you could eat and drink, all covered. And it was very sporadic. I got a text message at about, it was probably 10:30. It said they got off the train in Gary, Indiana. They were now on a bus, and he was sober. And he didn't know
Gary,
what the plan
Indiana
was.
is an interesting place to get off the
train.
Yes,
and my text back to him was Gary, Indiana. I go, what are you, fans of the Jackson 5? But apparently they had some issues on the track, so they had to unload the train onto a bus. Then they got them back onto the train, and then it still had issues. So they were late getting in. But I at one point I just took a picture of the gate we were in front of. I'm like, we're here.
Yeah.
If you want to join. But he made it. So
so Tom and Raj were in South Bend. I was in Knoxville over the weekend. A&M's first trip to Knoxville since they've been in the SEC. I'll tell you what, A&M is probably the most organized fan base I've ever seen. They came, they did a good thing in Knoxville. But it was checkerboard Neyland. It's just an awesome atmosphere. College football. It's near the top of the best right there. Like just Rocky Top blaring every first down. Checkerboard Neyland. Every A&M fan that I ran into enjoyed it. Was impressed. I've been to the 12th man. Kyle Field. I even saw on some Reddit today, some A&M fans were mad that their kids were turned out to be Vol fans after the weekend. Brandon, as you were at home this weekend, looking at both the Notre Dame atmosphere, the Knoxville atmosphere, and even Washington, Washington had a big game. We're going to talk about that in a second. What do you make, especially when you compare and contrast NFL? What is your takeaway just sitting there watching it on TV this weekend?
Yeah, that's one thing college does so well. They get up for these big games and these big matchups, and the fans show up, and the atmospheres are just crazy. I've been to several college games, Neyland as well, and atmosphere is just 10 times what it is in NFL. Like you just don't, unless it's a playoff game or something in the NFL and you got home field advantage. And we're Titans fans, so even home field advantage, we might have 60-40 fan base there. So it just doesn't feel like a college game. In college, that's always been the biggest thing. Their stadiums, one, they hold more people for the most part, and then just the atmosphere and the coordination. like doing a checkered or a whiteout or, a scarlet out, which we're doing this weekend. It's just completely on another level than NFL. So way more enjoyable to go and be a part of that atmosphere. NFL, I'm like, okay to go to a bar and watch it.
Yeah. And this is an interesting topic, especially for this season right now, and both where Michigan and Detroit stand, and both where Tennessee and the Titans stand. And what I mean by that is, Brandon, right now what the Titans fan base is, and it's already struggling and it's moving more corporate.
Yeah.
And so we being Tennessee fans or Tennesseans, we're moving more towards college. I think the pendulum's swinging back to college in Tennessee, where both and compare that with Tom, both the Lions and Michigan are both doing really well right now, but the fan base in Detroit for the Lions are way more hungry.
Mm-hmm.
If either of y'all want to comment on that,
It's
Tom,
also
with you.
that's an old
Brandon, go ahead.
That's an older fan base too, so they've got a lot of deep roots there. A lot of generations growing up watching, a lot of disappointment through the years, but now there's hunger there for, this team is good and they can win. So, I mean, even Tom, I think it's your first time getting season tickets this year, and
Yeah,
the Kool-Aid is being passed around all over Detroit. So,
it is, and I think you nailed it, Brandon. A disappointment. Years and years haven't had a playoff win since '91. Had one since 1957. So, if there's a fan base that's starved, I mean, Michigan's been Michigan, but this is a football town. They call it hockey town. It's not. I mean, there's a big push for the Red Wings, but the Lions, what they're doing right now, this is something that I've never seen in my lifetime. So, I think the Lions, it's very comparable to a college atmosphere in a sense with the tailgating, and it starts at 7 a.m. for a 1:00 kickoff, and just everybody's. There's just so much pride, and it's very comparable to a college atmosphere. I love it.
And Tom, real quickly, through your lifetime as a Detroit fan, what's been the most, or some of the like, where's the resentment level been towards the Lions? Like on a scale of 1, like we just accept them, 10 being we're starting to resent them.
It's always been a love. They call them the lovable Leos for a reason. But the resentment came with ownership. Bill Ford just kind of had a grip on the franchise and was always against cheerleaders, with just against any kind of like flashiness and marketability. So when he passed, the mother or the wife took over and she ran it for a couple of years. Things changed a little bit, but now Sheila has it, and she's all about listening to the fans and changing the culture. And it starts with her. But as far as resentment goes, there was always resentment to the Ford family, just because in the NFL, we know TV contracts pay the players. So win, lose, or draw, the Lions are, in the Silverdome, they were still putting 80,000 there. The owners are going to make out hand over fist. So it didn't really affect their bottom line. So now it's just a whole different atmosphere.
And then I know this is our college show, but I just segued into this. Brandon, you're in Nashville. What do you think, real quick? Lovable to resentment on the Titans, just 1 to 10.
We're closing in on 7 or 8 at this point with this whole new stadium situation, and how, allegedly the longtime season ticket holder fan base that has built this, what we have, if you can even call it a big fan base, but it's we're kind of getting screwed like in this whole deal. So I jumped in 04, wasn't really an NFL fan. Just I was a Players fan, but Titans were here. It was fun to go to a game. Then we just got hardcore into it, and we were those tailgaters at 7 a.m. Every game, and I think I went like 5 or 7 years without missing a single game. But now I don't know if I'm even going to make a game this year, and it's. A lot of that has to do with, having a child and care and all that stuff, which changes everything. But also, I would try a little harder to make things work if, one, we had a good product on the field and, I was a little more enthusiastic about it. So.
Yeah, I don't have a child. I haven't been to a game in a long time either. But speaking of stadiums and speaking of you guys being the Big Ten new members, Oregon and Washington put on a show on late Saturday night. Tom, you got it, game of the year. It definitely was in my book so far.
Mm-hmm.
Those two teams showed out, and the home team won by 3. Takeaways, Tom, what'd you think about this one?
Just a classic. Back and forth. Everything you want in a college football game, everything you want in a 7 versus 8 battle. The hype of both squads were real. Washington started out real fast. Oregon made their run, and had the lead late in the fourth. But I think it comes down to mistakes that aren't learned from. And Van Lanning, similar fourth down play last year, cost him the game. It cost him the game again this year. And I always say it. Don't be too cute. Don't be too cute, because it's gonna burn you. And here's the fourth down play, and they just it cost them. Washington takes possession in good field territory, and Michael Penix is the Heisman favorite for a reason, and he showed it in this drive here.
Tom, now, does the decision to go for it bother you more, or the play call to roll a right-handed quarterback to the left and throwing off your body, or both?
I'm going to go with both, because you could have pinned him deep with a punt, and they were going to have to go the whole field. So there's one, and then number two, I am not a fan of rolling out, period. I see a lot of quarterbacks rolling out, and I think that refrains a lot of plays from being made, because once you run out of real estate, you're screwed. And yeah, a right-handed quarterback rolling left, you're going to have to throw across your body. So, it wasn't the right play. There should have been some sort of play action, and he rolled maybe a bootleg. I'm old school. I love the play action bootleg. Everybody's collapsing in the middle, and the outside's usually open. That was not the case in this play call. So I think both situations was probably wrong.
So Brandon, I want your overall takes of the games, and then when you finish that, I have an analytics question for you. So what was your overall takes of the game?
It was a classic offensive battle. Two solid offensive teams, and I don't disagree with the fourth down play call. Like, that didn't bother me at all. It was to go for it, the choice to go for it, but the play call itself was horrendous. And as being a Titans fan, we've seen a few of those this year already on our end. But no, I mean, your defense hasn't really done much to stop them. Like, so you go pin them down, it just wastes more time off the clock. I don't disagree with that play to go for it and try and get up there, but the play calls was not their best, not Lanning's best moment. So But overall, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's game of the year for me so far, and that's why we've been saying, for weeks that the Pac-12 is the best conference right now, and
Yeah.
we saw two of their top dogs just haymakers back and forth.
And so to my analytics question for both of you guys, and this is what always bothers me about analytics. Oh, if it's 4th and 3, you have so and so percentage to get it based on the number of plays go. But it doesn't calculate your team versus this team, right? And so like in your setup versus their setup, like if you have a strong defensive end and you go for it 4th and 3, your percentages change. And like I get what the nationwide average is, but you have to coach your game, not what the statistical things around the country is. Do y'all guys agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
I totally agree. It's 100% matchups. It has
Yeah.
analytics. It's a a national baseline, I guess, that you can draw from, if you will. But it's all about matchups. I mean, you'll see teams that are an 18th ranked team versus a 6th ranked team or something, and the matchups look good and in favor of an 18th ranked team, just the way they play ball and the athletes on the field, and you have to use that to your advantage, not analytics. I mean, I don't know about all that. The whole statistical world of football has gone crazy in the last 10 years, but yeah, go ahead, Tom.
To me, there's too much focus on analytics, and some of these coaches, literally, they'll have a direct link to the analytics coach up in the box, and they'll tell them, you go for 2, or you go for it on 4th here. But you're right, Robbie. I don't think they take into consideration who they're playing and the moment. You're up late in the 4th on the road. You kick it, but analytics says go for it. Like I said, I'm old school in this. There's this newfangled way of coaching and things. I just think it takes a lot of the game away. It's like it's a chess match. You kick it. You have faith in your defense. Yeah, Washington, I think at that point had 29 points, which is pretty handled compared to other games they've had, high scoring. So you put the game in the defense's hands, you pin them deep, and then you know what? If they run down the field, they earned it. But the analytics in this situation said go for it, and on the road, I think it's more of a challenge in that stadium. Yeah, wrong move.
It reminds me of when teams 4th and 1 and they'll line up in a shotgun and hand it off, and they're like, oh, that's statistically our best way to gain a yard. Well, yeah, it is, because you run it on 1st down where everything's on the table. But if you're trying to get 1 yard, that's not your best play. Like, you've turned a 1-yard gain into a 6-yard play, and like that's just not smart, and you just outthink yourself. And I think that's what Oregon did there.
But analytics has taken over every sport, so it's just I don't know. I don't like it.
It can't measure heart in the moment, like you said, and matchups, and that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and let's talk about heart. Let's talk about the Stanford Cardinal and everyone's favorite darling, who seems to have kind of fallen off a little bit, Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. They were up 29-0 at halftime. And for all you people, they're sitting there gambling live odds. If you're taking Stanford there, you're sitting pretty today. Just a collapse at home. And what happened, Tom? What happened?
Well, overconfidence. We have a very undisciplined locker room, as came out after the game, that Shedeur Sanders was on Instagram uploading his merch links to his account so people could buy his merch with a 29-0 lead. So who's in charge? This is interesting to me because I always felt like Deion had good control of the locker room and was very cognizant of the players and how they're representing themselves. Having a kid on social media in a halftime game, they thought it was Stanford, and they could just coast in and do what they would normally do and win. And clearly, that's not the case.
And this is a bad Stanford team. This is not
a
your
1-4 Stanford team.
Yeah, this is not your last decade Stanford team. This is a bad Stanford team.
Yep. So the question now that I heard today was, has he lost the locker room? And then on the flip side of this here, you have Travis Hunter who came back. He played 88 snaps on defense and 68 snaps on offense. You're killing your best player. You have to pick. You have to pick what position this kid's going to play, and that's going to determine, how you're going to be successful. But they just don't have the depth, and we've talked at length in this show about how they've got good guys at number one, but after that they're very weak. It's a new program, 72 new players, so I think it's a lot of things, but this is really who this team is. They came out of the chute hot. People got excited about them, but the reality is Vegas had them at 3.5 over/under for wins of the season, and they might not win another game. So I think this is really who they are.
Really?
No, this is who they are.
So Tom, does Deion want Travis Hunter to be him too badly?
I think he's trying to force too much out of him. I mean, he just came out of a lacerated liver, a month ago, and you're giving this kid almost 150 snaps at night. I just in that altitude as well. I mean, not every kid is conditioned, no matter what, to be able to withstand those types of conditions. So I think he's asking too much out of the few really good, talented kids that he really has.
Yeah. And so, Brandon, I'm going to ask you what went wrong. I'm going to throw another twist on you. Deion is complaining about playing so late at night so the East Coast doesn't see them play. I think it's moving on to his players being like, hey, this isn't an important game because no one can see us. What do you think?
I don't disagree with that necessarily. Deion's all about marketing and his brand and, putting that out there. And he's trying to do the same thing for the kids. So I get him saying that, and, the kids probably buying in. But you knew what you signed up for. You're on the West Coast, bro. Like, you're going to have these late games. Like,
yeah.
What is the complaint here? What he should be complaining about is how his team got too cocky at halftime and let a terrible Stanford team just beat the brakes off of them in the second half. I mean, just uncalled for. And again, it's a depth issue. It's a little bit of an ego, I think. Prime trying to stay in the prime light, and he is pushing these kids because he doesn't have anybody else. He doesn't have any depth. He's like, hey, you got to go back out there. Like, I mean, that's tough, playing both ways. So I don't know. Again, they were flashy and they were the big headline in the front, but I agree with Tom's point. This is kind of who they are. Defensively, not very good, and they can crumble quickly. So
if it's the stock market, and I'm saying you have to hold it for 5 years, are you buying or are you not buying?
No, I'd still buy. Yeah, I'm still buying.
Still buying?
He's a good coach. Yeah. No, he's
Tom,
a good coach. He's a good.
Yeah, he's a recruiter mastermind, and the reality is he wasn't given a whole lot of time to recruit outside of the transfer portal. So I think you give him 2 to 3 years. And like I've said it before, they're going to win a national championship within 5 years. I really believe that because people are going to want to play. The number one quarterback in the country here in Detroit, Underwood, he's leaning to Colorado. And why is he going to Colorado? Because of Deion. He's right in Michigan's backyard, and Michigan's the talk of the town. But he's leaning Colorado. So he's going to get the upper echelon kids because here's one thing that Deion's good at. He's a marketing just mastermind. So kids are going to go there because they know they're going to get eyeballs on them. They're going to get great NIL deals while they're still available. They're just going to get recognition. So I think that things will be much better come 2 to 3 years from now in Boulder.
Fair point. I disagree with both you guys. I would not buy any of this Colorado stock, but nonetheless. All right. So the playoff picture, I'm not sure if it's getting muddier or if it's getting clearer. There's only 4 spots. There's about 8 to 10 decent teams. There's not a great team this year, I don't think. If you had to pick now, Tom, who are your 4 playoff teams?
Right now, I would say Ohio State, Washington. I don't think Georgia's going to be in there because losing Brock Bowers is a massive blow that nobody.
Side note, does he play again this year?
No.
I don't
Why?
think
4 to 6 weeks, there's no point. They're going to lose 2 games.
To play again.
They might lose 2 games in that stretch. There's just no point. He's won 2 national championships. He's the best tight end the last 3 years in football. He's going to be a top 10 NFL pick. There's no point. I can see Florida State squeaking in there if they can get past the ACC. That's a possibility. And then I hate to be biased, but I think Michigan's the best team in the country. But we're going to find that out here in a couple of weeks. So it pains me to say Florida State, but right now, just seeing how the pundits and the talking heads just have an affinity for Florida State, I can see them squeaking in. But if Ohio State keeps playing the way they do, whoever loses the last Saturday in November, I think still have an opportunity.
All right, Brandon, what do you think? Playoff predictions.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State, we've got to win this weekend. Obviously, this is you don't want to be third in the East and have a chance in the playoffs. So we got to take care of business this weekend. I think we do. So I like Ohio State in the 4th spot. I do. Michigan is the best team that I've seen day in and day out. I mean, they handle business. I know their schedule hasn't been the strongest, but they're still just dominating. So Michigan's my number 1. It's hard not to throw an SEC team in there, but I just don't think Georgia's going to be there. So, then what do you do? Then, you know what I'm saying?
Tennessee.
Struggling there.
Not with Joe Milton.
Not with Milton.
He's terrible.
He is not good. Well,
sorry,
the
Robbie.
receivers have been terrible this year. They've dropped a lot of balls.
Well, they lost a lot. I mean, say what you will, they lost a lot with it.
No, they did, but
a lot of talent last year.
All the good programs did.
Sure.
So everyone's dealing with hardship. But it's hard to not put an SEC team in there. But I see if Georgia goes down, I can see a Florida State over an SEC team if they win it out. So I'm struggling between that right now. I definitely like Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, and it's a toss-up to me between ACC and SEC right now. Like who could slide in there?
So neither of you guys have Texas or Oklahoma.
Mm-mm.
I think there's a lot of hype on Oklahoma. Even as much as Dylan Gabriel being number 2 for the Heisman, I'm not buying that either. I haven't seen enough.
All right, so y'all have the exact same, different orders, the exact same. I'm gonna go. I think Michigan's the best team I've seen all year, and then I still think the Pac-12, whatever they are, cannibalizes themselves. I think that's the best conference, but they're going to eat their own. I think each team ends with 2 losses, which doesn't mean they're not. They don't deserve
two-loss
it.
team is very eligible this year.
Yeah. It makes me. Y'all are going to call me homers, but here it goes.
I think we're expecting it.
No, I got UGA and Alabama.
Both of them in the playoff?
And I got Ohio State. I think this is just the Big Ten SEC takeover. I don't.
Well,
trust
then you
Florida
know there's
State.
collusion if that's the case.
Yeah, that's where I stand right now. I keep betting against Ohio State. They keep showing me Michigan's impressive. Georgia has the easiest schedule. If Bama wins this weekend, they're sitting pretty for an SEC upset against Georgia, and they both get in.
Yeah, this entire conversation will change next week.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's fluid.
Definitive line drawn in the sand.
Like Stephen A. Smith said in his A-list this week with the Lions being number 1 in the NFL. This list is fluid. So,
yes.
I mean,
it is fluid. And I don't know if it's possible they can get all 4, but
the only way Bama gets in is if they run the table and win the SEC because they're sitting at 11 right now.
And I can see the committee throwing them in.
Well, so this is my theory.
What about LSU?
If Georgia's undefeated and Alabama runs the table and they beat Georgia, how can you keep a 2-time defending champ out?
No,
one loss.
I get that, but we're all hypothesizing Georgia's not going to be undefeated.
Mm-mm.
I don't. So y'all think they're going to lose in Neyland?
I think Georgia's going to lose involved.
I do.
I hope
you took away half their offense.
Yeah,
Brock Bowers is a security valve.
He was at least 40% of their plays.
Mm-hmm. All right, so talking about a great player to great player, let's talk briefly about Heisman front runners, and then we've got some drama to talk about. So right now we've got Penix Jr., we've got Caleb Williams, who kind of had a bad game.
No,
Bowers is now out. Who do you guys think? Tom, go ahead.
It's Penix number 1. It's Dylan Gabriel and JJ McCarthy are tied at plus 1,000.
Yeah, you have JJ for Heisman. You think he's got a chance?
I think he's got a great chance, and it all depends on how he performs. And it starts. There's a 4-game stretch here. Yes, Michigan State's not good at all, but it's a rivalry game, and we all know what happened 8 years ago, almost to the day. Trouble with the snap that all the Sparties are all over Michigan Twitter about. So he's got to perform in this game. Maryland on the road. He's got to perform in that game.
Yeah, they're no slouch.
Penn State on the road against arguably the top 3 defenses in the country. He's got to perform. And obviously here against Ohio State the last Saturday in November. So if he gets through those 4 games playing similar fashion that he did against Ohio State last year, I think it would be hard to not make him a Heisman choice or a Heisman candidate, we'll say, because he's been consistent. He doesn't have the yardage, but he's also started running the ball a little bit more. He's added that to his game. So I think he's been very consistent, but there is a bit of a gap between him, Gabriel, which I'm not sure if Gabriel is even deserving of the number 2. But right now it's just Michael Penix because his is just what he's accomplished this year is incredible. But Caleb Williams lost the Heisman last Saturday.
Well,
there's no way you can recover from that.
Well, that's when I was going. How bad did he look in real life? I saw him on TV, but how bad did he look in real life?
Disheveled. Their offensive line is Swiss cheese, and Raj will probably tell you the same thing. He had no time, but the decision making he had, it was just he was throwing the ball, he was missing receivers. He didn't look like he wanted to play. And there was actually video of him in the locker room of when the coach Lincoln Riley was talking. He's just standing there, just not paying any attention. So he completely lost the Heisman. He's already got one. So, but yeah, that was not a good look.
Brandon, so talk about JJ at Michigan. Talk about Michael Penix. What about Drake May at UNC? He's putting up huge numbers. They're 12th in the country. He's looking good too.
I love Drake May. Drake May actually had better numbers than Caleb Williams last year and lost the Heisman to him.
Yeah.
I love Drake May. It's North Carolina, so it's not a sexy, big football team, whatever. Yeah, Drake. So after this last weekend, and we're going to transition into kind of the Caleb Williams story, but just everything that's been going on with him and has surrounded him, and as big as his head is blowing up right now, he has completely lost all of my, thought of how good of a player he is. Yeah, he's a great athlete, but what kind of person is he? And he's kind of showing colors right now. One game normally you can take a punch on the face and bounce back, but just with all the extracurricular shit going on top of that, it's very off-putting for me as far as if I was a voter. So I've got him out of the top 5 just on that basis. But I love Penix. He's a clear front runner. And what about Bo Nix at Oregon too? He's
I think that head-to-head. Oh, no, now Bo Nix can come back and beat them on a neutral side. Well, no, Pac-10's Pac-12. It's a home playoff game.
So Bo Nix is in the mix. Obviously, Drake May and Jordan Travis from Florida State. Now, if they happen to, run the table and pull this out, like he's got to be in the conversation. McCarthy, I've got him at plus 2,200. I don't know where the plus 1,000. Maybe I'm old news or something, but he's been solid. I mean, he had one bad game this year so far. I think he threw a couple interceptions or something of that nature. But like I said, I mean, you can bounce back from that. He has added a little bit of yardage in the run game to his dynamic. So he's a solid quarterback. Michigan blows everybody out and wins out. I could definitely see him being, probably second or third in the Heisman finish.
I put Penix in May 1 and 2.
Here's Drake May right here.
So, guys, this is something that I really want to talk about, and because this seems like a train wreck that is not getting off the tracks, and that's Caleb Williams. He has previously said he may not come out if he doesn't like who he's playing for. He's not going to sign unless he has ownership of a team. I'll give my thoughts after I hear y'all's thoughts. Brandon, I mean, this is a guy coming into – there is one league, and there are 32 owners. What do you make about his strategy, if there is any?
So I think you said it best on one of our text chains. He needs to fire everyone around him that that's talking to him or is in his ear. The kid is talented, no doubt, but talent's only going to get you so far. You got to be a leader. You've got to. There's so many other characteristics and qualities that go into being an NFL quarterback, not just talent. He almost seems like a punk kid right now, like trying to call his shots. Like, you're going to give me this. I'm entitled to this, blah, blah. Like, how did we get here? Like, it is a privilege to play in the NFL. Like, what in the hell is going on to even think you have the right to say any of this stuff? Like, I don't care if you won a Heisman or you're the second or in the race again. Like, you can't just go throwing demands out like that. Trust me. If you look at statistics, drafting a first round quarterback doesn't really bode well for NFL owners.
No,
right out the bat. So
ask Carolina how they feel about Bryce Young.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, to give up ownership stake, like, this is a completely different game. Like, he is out in space somewhere, and he needs to fire everyone around him. I don't know what the hell's going on, but he's ruining his potential career in the NFL at this point. He needs to shut up and show on the field what he's got, and let his agent do the talking or get a new agent, somebody better. It's awful.
This reminded me of the oldest, was it Lonzo or whatever ball kid it was?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, Tom, what do you think about this? Like, I mean, it not only is it preposterous, it's just really stupid.
Well, let me start by saying it's not confirmed whether this is a request to his or not, but the news did break this week that one of the stipulations is he wants a certain percentage of ownership. First off, there isn't one player currently in the NFL that has a stake with the team that they play for. Number two, there never will be a current or future NFL player that will hold any type of ownership stake, because when you allow that, now you're dictating your future as a player on that team. You're going to dictate whether you play. Hey, I'm going to play.
Money.
Yep. I'm getting this contract. I don't have to negotiate it because I'm owner. So that's a really slippery slope. But my theory as to why this might be the case is he might be scaring off potential suitors early on that he doesn't want to play for. Because like you said, Robbie, he's made it known that he may come back for his senior year. And the reason being, he doesn't want to play for a garbage team. So, which therein lies is a problem. Now you're you're questioning his character as a player, as a teammate. So that's a problem. So ironically enough, this news breaks the week after he has the worst game of his football career, high school included. So not a good look. I hope that isn't the case. And like Brandon said, if he's got a team around him that is encouraging him to talk this way, they have to be fired.
Yeah, I just one of a favorite lyric of mine. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Amen.
Hey, Caleb Williams, you may think you're good. You may think you're the next coming. Hey, ask these 32 – or no, ask Colin Kaepernick what happens when these 32 owners say, no, we're not playing this game. No, we want ownership. I'm going to lower my draft stats to get to a better team. No. They will not play with you. You will be out of the league. They do not care. They're not giving up ownership. They will blackball you. You are a fraction of their money. They don't care. Like, so so you better fall in line. And hey, kid, get your money. You're gonna make a fortune in the NFL. You will make generational wealth. Do not rock the boat. And hey, I'm all about rocking the boat, but at the same time, know your place. And it's a small window. I mean, imagine if someone came to you, Brandon, and was like, "Hey, I'm only going to do this brickwork if I have ownership of your company." No,
Yeah.
see ya. Like,
You know how many other bricklayers I could
yeah,
find?
right.
The same exact point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
It's
For cheap.
Yeah. So it's like, do not overplay your hand.
like I know you're good, but I'll deal with the headache later.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy needs to, like I said on text, fire everyone around him, rethink what you're doing. Hey, the Lions sucked for a decade. Now they're at least a third favorite to get to the Super Bowl. NFL is meant to change things. Like I really do. Don't know the kid, never met the kid, don't even have an interest in the kid, but I hope he gets a good advisors on his shoulders because he could mess this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he can.
He needs some better advisors. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
He needs somebody in his ear being like, "Look, just chill out, dude. You're already a number 1 draft pick, if not, top 5."
Yeah, not even the Haslams gave up ownership to Deshaun Watson, and they gave him the first guaranteed contract of all time. They're not
That's
even
what I'm saying. Now, like everyone, that's all these contracts are about is guaranteed money.
Well,
Once
and
you do
two,
that, you can't change it.
Yeah,
and another thing, like C.J. Stroud in Houston, he got all his money up for his whole 4-year deal, paid in full up front. So there's things that are going to change.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So our future draft pick's going to look at that. So we'll see. But
speaking of money, cue it.
It's time for Bet Your Nuts.
Yeah, buddy. All right, boys and girls. Tom, do you how we did last week? Do you have it up there?
I don't. I think I'd have to put it on socials. Yeah, you did good. I think we were neck and neck for the most part.
All right. Well, first on our agenda, Penn State at the Horseshoe. The Buckeyes -4.5. Brandon Chain, we're starting with you, and we're gonna follow your lead.
Oh man, I am nervous. This is outside of Notre Dame, which was a pretty big test for us early on, but I did see a lot of good things out of that game. I think we've gotten better since then. Penn State, again, hasn't really played anyone yet that I've been overly impressed with that could actually give them a fight. So I'm nervous about this game, but I have to be biased here. I'm taking OSU.
Tom Sloan.
Yeah, this game intrigues me. It's a noon kick, so that kind of neutralizes a lot of things.
Damn Big Ten. Why do they do this?
Stupid. Why is this not a night game?
This game, this should be the primetime game. Michigan State should be at noon, but I'm actually happy it's at 7:30. Speakeasy's going to have a packed house, but no, I just think a noon kick neutralizes. I don't think you have an advantage either way. Ask Notre Dame about a primetime kick against Ohio State, but this game's close. I think through 3.5 quarters, and I just think Ohio State has a little bit better offense. And McCord he's put it together. He's played well on a stretch. They've got to get their running game going, and I'm not sure if this is the week that it happens because Penn State's got a really good defense. But that 4.5 is really interesting. But I think Ohio State can cover it. I think they can get a late touchdown to Stover or Ibuka. I think they're going to key on Marvin Harrison, and I've been a firm believer that there's more to the story with Marvin Harrison. He hasn't looked as advertised this year. I think there's other issues health wise, but I'll take Ohio State to cover that. I can see it being a touchdown or a 6-point game.
James Franklin built his reputation by
That too.
beating
James Franklin's a fraud.
at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Butch Jones sucks. James Franklin loses all these big games
Yeah.
at home in the horseshoe. Give me Ohio State. I'd even tease this up to 11. Ohio State's going to blow
Ooh.
them out. This is
I hope you're right. I was trying to be conservative, and
James Franklin chokes in all these games.
Yeah.
that's what I really wanted to say in my head. But
Yeah.
I'm such the local.
James
bias.
Franklin has this job because Tennessee and Florida sucked athletic departments. All right, next, from Brandon's heart to my heart, UT at Alabama. Alabama, this has been fluctuating 9.5, 8.5. I think it's at 9 as we stand here today. That's what we're betting it as 9 points. Tom, what do you got?
I like Bama here. I have no faith in Joe Milton. If anyone's watched this show previously,
How can we
you
cut
know-
his mic off?
you know my disdain for Joe Milton because he played here in Ann Arbor.
Control. Cut his mic. Cut the mic. Cut the mic.
I have the power. But I think this is a game where Alabama's defense comes to play. It's a retribution game, as you experienced last year. So I think Alabama has had this game marked on their calendar for 365 days or whatever the number is at this point. So Joe Milton will not be able to have time to throw, and Florida showed that if you put pressure on Milton, he will make really questionable decisions. So even though Milroe is not that good of a quarterback, I think this is a defensive game. Turnovers, pick six, scoop and score. Give me the Bama Roll Tide.
Brandon, tell him how dumb he is.
Man, that was pretty convincing, Tom. That's pretty convincing. I'm on the fence here, guys. I think I see this game playing out. Bama's secondary is not so great. Their front's pretty good, but their run game has started to come to as of late. So I think Bama kind of dominates the clock here. I think they run the ball really well on Tennessee. Keep it out of Milroe's hands as much as possible. That's their weakness. But if Milton can make a couple of accurate passes, I think they can get some chunk plays that surprise here. I think Tennessee covers. I think Bama wins.
There we go.
I have no faith in Joe Milton, if you haven't heard.
I know.
Hey,
Hey,
everyone.
listen.
Everyone.
Last week, if you watch the film back, there was a lot of either offensive line missed blocks or there were a lot of drop passes by the receivers. He did throw some pretty accurate passes last week, so there's a glimmer of hope there.
They were in Knoxville.
I wasn't. I was watching on TV.
Hey, it's been 365 days. Nick Saban has studied Josh Heupel's offense, and it's been 365 days since Heupel studied Nick Saban's defense and Kirby Smart's defense. I'll tell you what, I don't love the quarterback situation, but I love our running game and I love our pass rush. I think these wide receiver screens, a couple open passes, Tennessee covers. I'll have my cigar ready just in case. Moving on next to now Tom's neck of the woods, Michigan in East Lansing plus 24.5. Big number in a rivalry game. Brandon, we'll start with you.
It's a big number in a rivalry game, but it's also this year's Michigan State, and they are atrocious. Michigan rolls here. This is a no sweat game for them. I think I think they get up early, and it just kind of shuts them down. So give me Michigan.
I'll go with Tom for last. I agree. I think Michigan's the best team in the country. And I'm not sure what the hell is going on in East Lansing. And this may be just a bloodbath. I'm going Michigan also, minus 24.5. Tom?
Yeah, this is as I stated earlier, it's a rivalry that you just never know what team's going to show up. And in the past, some not so good Spartan teams have showed up and pulled out the win 8 years ago. 2 years ago, Michigan dominated in East Lansing and found a way to lose. Some questionable calls, but we won't go there. But this is a program that is absolutely in the tank. Who's their head coach? Nobody knows. They're holding on to hope of the thought that they saw Urban Meyer in East Lansing 2 weeks ago, which I can't imagine that happening.
He said he's not one to coach.
No. Michigan's defense week by week has gotten better and better, specifically the front defense. I think Noah Kim or whoever they throw out there, there's a freshman kid that's been playing. He's going to be running for their life. And this is a primetime game. There's been a lot of smack talk back and forth. This is the game for Michigan to really prove their superiority. 24.5. This is a 32 point game. Michigan all the way.
All right, we're all on the same page there. All right, so next, Utah at USC. USC laying 7. If you can hear the tone of my voice, I'm surprised. Brandon?
Utah all day. I'll keep it short and sweet. Give me Utah. You giving me points? I would take Utah minus 7.
Mm-hmm.
Tom?
Yeah, I think not only Utah covers, I think they win this game. I think the hearts were absolutely ripped out of the chest last week in South Bend.
This is the most whoa line I've seen all week. Like, whoa.
How you can give them that line a week after they've had their worst game in probably 5 years. Definitely the worst game in the Lincoln Riley era.
All right.
No defense. Offensive line is putrid. Utah's going to win this game.
Duke at FSU. Tom. Oh, the spread is FSU minus 14.5.
Minus 14.5. We talked about Drake May earlier. He's a hell of a quarterback. And if not for better quarterback play, Florida State probably loses to Boston College. And the next week, I forgot who they played. The next week, it was the same song and dance. They squeaked by. The Florida State's going to win this game, but 14.5 against a team that has an NFL-ready quarterback. No, I can see it being maybe a touchdown or less. So give me Duke to cover here.
Brandon?
I'm sorry. I am thinking of the wrong person.
Oh, we're not even calling you.
I'm sorry.
We're not having a
why am I thinking North Carolina?
No, we don't know. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm retracting.
We knew that.
Florida State.
Yeah,
State. I'm thinking of the wrong school here. I had a brain freeze.
Starting to heat up, man. I like Florida State here. So.
Yeah. Florida State. Yeah, don't worry.
That's the North Carolina baby blue. Yeah, come on.
Man. I don't know what I'm thinking, man.
So you got
it's been a rough week. Lincoln's been on a whole nother level.
I'm taking Duke, especially when they get Drake May as their quarterback.
Yeah, I apologize. The last minute and a half of programming has been subpar.
Transport come on, North Carolina Triangle, the research triangle teams, we're good.
Here's the emoji. Florida State. Give me
hey, we have certain classics on the show, and that's another one to add to it. All right, so this is the last one. We'll let Tom start with this because he'll mix and match ACC teams. Clemson at Miami +3.
Clemson.
All right, Clemson -3. Brandon?
Clemson's garbage. Give me the U.
Am I a +3? Well, I think Drake May is going to play quarterback for Miami.
Drake
So
May
I'm
just
taking
wants it
Miami
again.
too.
How many hours between the games do we got? Do we have like 6 hours where you can get on a plane and transfer?
Yeah. Hey,
Tom's like, screw you guys.
what do you know about the ACC? I know Drake May plays quarterback for everyone. All right, boys. Great college show. Final thoughts on.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook.
Boy, I'm really batting 1,000 today, fellas. Oh my God!
All right, boys. Final thoughts. This podcast for our fans will launch right after showing, right?
We're
Oh, it's live.
now.
It's live right now.
Oh,
It's
it's
live.
We're live on this one.
Nothing like live.
We're
TV.
live on this one. Yeah, the NFL
okay.
show will be released tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So we, all right. So yeah, thanks for watching. Final thoughts, Tom, for you. Besides where Drake May plays.
Well, final thoughts or final words. I'm bad. I'm terrible. I had a horrible day today. No, but it's rivalry week here in Michigan, and it's always fun to see all the banter back and forth. Like I said earlier, Michigan State Twitter has been on fire. You've got all the Sparties bringing up the past, as they normally do, and Michigan fans are bringing up the fact that Michigan State's a basketball school, so it's always fun bantering. The Speakeasy, we're having a Michigan State party, so there'll be some Sparties in the house and some fun little bragging rights will be had. So I'll speak on that next week, hopefully after a Michigan win. But rivalry week's always fun, and it's same can be said for against Ohio State. That week's always fun. The anticipation, it's always huge, and it makes the game that much more fun to watch. So outside of me being absolutely horrible today, which I apologize, go Blue.
Yeah, I'll go. So my final thoughts are just the evolution of the show and the evolution of the time frame, I guess. I'll text my friends, hey, I'm out of pocket for the next 2 hours. I'm doing reckless speculation. And they say, oh, you're still doing that. And I'm like, well, yeah, one, watch. And two, yeah, we're still doing it. And we're going to keep doing it. We enjoy doing it. And this is fun for us. And we appreciate everyone that watches. And we do it for people that watch. We do it for ourselves, too. And so, yeah, anytime you want to comment, anything you want to hear, good, bad, or the ugly, we welcome it. But yeah, we're just guys having fun talking sports, and thanks anyone that watches and subscribes, and we do appreciate it. And yeah, and we're gonna keep doing it because we're having fun. Mm-hmm. And until Tom knows who Drake May plays for, then we'll keep going.
No, this is what makes it authentic. You know, we all screw up and we all say things. It's just funny. It's just we're human, you know.
Yeah.
Can't be statisticians and analytics the whole time. You know, got to have a little bit of a breather.
Especially when Raj isn't here.
Yeah, exactly. No, dude, you did great. That's an easy mistake. I actually thought I had to double check. I was like, does Drake May play for Duke? Did I get this wrong?
Don't ask me where I came up with that.
No one's ever confident enough to correct in real time. We're like, wait, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm like looking it up real quick, making sure that he still plays for North Carolina. But no, big game for us this week. Big game for everyone, I guess, except Michigan, who's steamrolling everyone. But yeah, if we look good in this game and we win pretty convincingly, I feel really good about going to the big house. So we'll see.
You're potentially looking at number 1, number 2 being from the Big Ten. So
yeah, for sure. So all right, good show, boys.
All right, thank you for watching, everyone. And this is live apparently. Yeah. So this is good. We're about to record our NFL show. So look for that. It's same
Tomorrow.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be dropped.
It'll be
tomorrow.
released tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Yes, 7 p.m. tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Reckless Speculation. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube searching Reckless Speculation. Catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right here next week with another exciting episode of Reckless Speculation.